And hello, this is Judge Karen Braxton with our what was weekly go live. Unfortunately, I couldn't go live last week because I had a COVID test scheduled that I somehow managed to miss. However, I did take my test on Wednesday or Thursday of this week, and I am awaiting the results at this time. Apparently, there was some exposure in the courthouse, and so we all had to get our COVID testing. As you know, Miss Pat was in a self quarantine because of the same exposure while she was in the building. But for those of you who do not know, Miss Pat has returned. For those of you that have already received calls or emails or anything else from her, you know she's back with a vengeance, catching back up from the amount of time that she was required to miss. And so, if you have something that was scheduled, needed to be rescheduled, or anything else, luckily, Miss Pat is back and she's probably working on it now. And hopefully, I can get my negative results in the next couple of days and we can touch bases with each other on Monday because I haven't seen her in a while and I miss her. Um, just briefly, so I always give a shout out to Miss Pat because I think she's awesome. I want to give a shout out to Miss Darlene because she is working behind the scenes. You don't get to see her as much, but it's absolutely amazing how much she does, including drafting every order that you see, whether or not we go on the record. She is drafting the order for the case. And so even the orders from today, I believe, are all done already. It's only 2 o'clock. So just a couple of updates. I didn't see any questions on Facebook, but I do realize that I posted it kind of late. But I think what I'm going to do going forward is do this probably every couple of weeks, every other week, just to provide the updates as we're up and running. And I'm trying to look over just to make sure as we're getting up and running, it appears that things are smoothing out and we don't have as many announcements, but I'll still do it just in case to give you whatever announcements that we do have in that 2 week period. Obviously, you can follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn, and I post updates on a regular basis as they become available to us. One of the most important updates that I'm excited about is that as of May 11th, which is this coming Monday, we will be starting our abuse neglect dockets. Or what I should say is that we are able to start our abuse neglect dockets on that date. Every jurist is going to be very different in how they resume their docket. So don't assume that one jurist is doing it one way. And so everybody should be doing that. Every jurist needs to reschedule all the cases that they missed, depending on the amount of time that they were not hearing cases. They have to hear the cases that are already on the docket. They have to reschedule cases that were actually filed when we weren't in, and they still have these cases coming in. I found out there's a whole bunch of delinquency cases that are waiting to be filed. So there is a lot of work that needs to happen, and everything is going to be very different depending on the courtroom. So always when I give you updates, I'll give you updates regarding 3D, but I have to let you know that it's always very different depending on the courtroom. I am excited, though, that my referee, Brandy Taylor, has been working very diligently the last week or so to get her docket going, too, and I believe she's ready to do neglect. So we are starting, I know for 3D, we are starting our neglect dockets on Monday. We've done a lot of delinquency for the last 3 weeks or so. The CMOs have been absolutely amazing. The defense bar has been absolutely amazing. And my pod, Mr. Simple and Ms. Jones, have been wonderful as well. And we've gotten a lot done, but we need to really start to transition over to abuse neglect. So we'll be hearing a couple here or there. But I believe starting the 26th, I keep looking at my calendar just to verify. Starting on the 26th, we're really going to start going probably all neglect days. So some of you know I've been sending out emails about cases that needed to be closed and so on and so forth. And that's why I'm doing it, so I can make some space for the abuse neglect cases that we need to be able to do. So I also want to give a shout out because we've done so well on the delinquency side to Mr. Sukman Bathal, who is the assigned APA in my courtroom. He has been amazing. He's gotten the reports ready, responded to my emails that I send at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. If anybody pays attention, that's usually when I'm up. So that's when I send out all the emails or respond to emails that people send me, because I go to bed at 9 o'clock. I get up at about 3 and start responding to those emails. So shout out to him. And then on the abuse neglect side, if you've been receiving emails to date, you've gotten them from Mr. Smith, who has been collecting reports, letting people know what dates we are scheduling our hearings for, notifying the attorneys, notifying the private agencies as we go forward. So although you haven't seen Mr. Smith just yet, he is working hard in the background so we can get ready to go on our abuse neglect docket. One big announcement that we had today, if you've been on in the courtroom, you'll know that we always say we're supposed to go live on YouTube. I think the last couple of days it have actually been successful. Some days haven't been. But we have, when I say we, the juvenile judges, have been adamant that we are against airing or live streaming our hearings on YouTube, mainly because we are dealing with children, very sensitive topics. And it makes it hard for us to kind of discuss the hearing because we have to kind of dance around what we're trying to say so we don't put anything in public that we don't want to be in public. In the courtroom, one, we can close the proceedings and put on the record why we need to. But more importantly, number two, even if we don't close them, we can control what's happening in the courtroom at that time. So my sheriff is always looking for phones being out, people recording, things like that. On Zoom, we can't control that. I took a picture of some other people when we were in a Zoom meeting the other day. They had no clue. I somehow maneuvered my camera down and tipped it up. And so I was able to take a picture, and nobody had any idea that I was taking this picture. So, I wanted to communicate that to the bench that people can be doing this, recording our hearings, recording witnesses, recording statements. And for a lot of our kids on the JJ side, they can get their records expunged. And if we have this information out here, it might become a problem that although their backgrounds will come back clean, they will have this information on social media permanently. And on the abuse neglect side, obviously, it's just very sensitive topics that we don't want out in the open. So we no longer have to live stream on YouTube. That was effective today. I got the email after, I think mid docket, and I didn't read it until after my docket was over. So we did live stream today. It is pulled down from the system, but we do not have to live stream anymore on YouTube for any of our hearings. So I'm excited so we can now discuss openly what we need to discuss instead of kind of dancing around the general area as it relates to some of our kids. So we are pretty much up and running in juvenile. We can do everything but bench trials and jury trials. As of right now, bench trials are tentatively scheduled for June 1st. I don't know if that's going to remain that way or not. But we are scheduling bench trials after June 1st. I know there was some word about jury trials after a date in August, and I don't know how we're going to facilitate jury trials. Just in my contact with some of the defense bar, they are going to absolutely positively object to doing jury trials via Zoom. So I don't know where we'll be at by August or if we'll be able to do trials at all at that point in time. But that is a schedule that the court is set. So if you have a youth that has a bench trial that is scheduled, or you have an abuse and neglect case where a bench trial is scheduled, we are able to do the bench trials on or after June 1st of 2020. It's going to be interesting. We have some of the same issues about who can record, who can be involved in those hearings, but we are going to do them nonetheless, because we can't put these people's cases on hold for an unlimited period of time without adjudicating them in some way, shape, or form, especially since on our abuse neglect side, we have parents who maybe have their children out of the home and there's a no contact order, so they can't have face-to-face visitation. And for some of our kids, although we've released a significant portion of them, some of them could not be released. And so we need to have an adjudication on them as well, so we know how to deal with it. My last update is as it relates to adoptions, and there is a lengthy protocol, and I'm not going to read the protocol. I did put it on all of my social media sites, I believe on May 1st that I posted it, but a lot of people had questions about that and wanted to know what types of adoptions will be heard at this point in time. So again, most of the judges don't do the adoptions with the exception of Judge Dingle. The individual judges are doing the AM cases. So those are the cases that stem from abuse neglect cases that are in fact open. And then those adoptions are being finalized on those youth that we already have. They are not accepting petitions as of right now for the AM. The only ones they are accepting petitions on will be on direct placements, which are the AD/AOs, and the safe surrender adoptions under the MBAGs. There is a protocol. It is 2 pages. I'm not going to read it. It is on my social media sites from May 1st. And if you want a copy of it, shoot me an email and I'll be more than happy to forward a copy out of the protocol that is being set. I believe Kelly Barham, who is the adoption coordinator, worked with Judge Dingle, who is doing the actual cases, to formulate this policy with the rest of the administration staff at Lincoln Hall to draft this protocol during our furlough. Some of the people are back. Some of us are not back. As many people as can be remote are going to be remote at this point in time. So as of right now, the judges remain remote, and a lot of other parties. Our clerks are actually in the courtrooms right now. And so we're trying to keep as many people out of the courtroom as we can. So again, I'm not sure who in adoptions is actually in the building, but I do have the protocol if you need that. Again, social media posted on May 1st, or if you can shoot me an email, I'll be more than happy to send that out to you. So those are all the updates that I have at this point in time. Again, I think I'm going to do this probably every 2 weeks. So today is May 8th, and so I'll do it again on May 22nd. I do apologize for the short notice. I did one of these for Youth and Care yesterday, and that was actually posted on social media so they could participate. And we had a great conversation. So I was excited about that they actually wanted to reach out and kind of get an understanding about what's going on with the court. So my apologies for the short notice on today's date as related to this one. As always, feel free to send me emails if you have any questions about what's going on. But with that, I think I'm going to sign off for the day. So I hope that everybody is staying home if they can, staying as safe as they can. I'm not sure I will see you in person, but I look forward to seeing you in the near future in a Zoom conference. Have a wonderful day, everybody.